This video is brought to you by WD-40. Seems like just a minute ago, but for me it was a week ago that I took this bed off. And I haven't been able to find anybody interested in this thing. I posted it on Apache Club on Facebook. And I don't know if I can wait for this video to come out to see if anybody else is interested in it. I'm almost tempted to cut it up and make it into like a little couch. But I don't really have any use for a truck bed couch. I've already got a Jeep bed couch that just collects stuff instead of sitting on it. Collects stuff instead of butts. It's starting to rain, so hopefully you guys can hear me, but I wanted to explain what's going on here. It's obvious to me, but not obvious to a lot of you guys, so I get a lot of questions. That Grand Cherokee needs to get built next for the Pull Apart Cheap Jeep Challenge. BleepinJeep versus Busted Knuckle, brought to you by Tecton Tools, Part 3. So, to do that though, I need to get it in here. So to get that in here, I need to get rid of this bed for one, but I also need to get rid of this frame for two. But to do that, I need to lift that cab off of the frame and slide it out from underneath there. My ceilings, I think my ceilings are gonna be okay, but I need something to lift off of. So that's where these boards come in. I just got these from Home Depot, and here's my plan. I don't know if this is a good plan or a bad plan, but my plan is to pull this up a little further and put 4 posts, 1, 2, 3, 4, that are gonna support the ceiling. These lights are off. Whoa, now you can't see anything. My plan is to support the ceiling right there where the trusses come down, okay, and then put 4x4s across. It's hard to explain, but anyway, I'm gonna make a frame basically to lift this cab up and down. I'm running out of room in the garage. This thing's in my driveway. It's a mess. I need to do some cleaning up before I can actually do any work. I can't even get in and out of that garage over there. And it's hard for me to get in and out of the driveway as well, so let's cut this thing up. I'm going to keep the toolbox though in case we can use that for something on the FC maybe in the future.
Yesterday, got nothing new to talk about, got nothing new to say anyway. I fell in love with a girl downtown, then she walked away. That heart of coal, the sticks and stones, they put me here today. Hooray. Gonna leave for a while, walk out the door, forget my troubles and move to Memphis, maybe change.
Alright, well, one problem solved. Despite that looking like shoddy construction, that thing was welded together, bolted together, screwed together, and nailed together. So that was fun, but at least now that is almost gone. I gotta load it up in my truck and take it somewhere. Now, what's next? I'm back at it, cleaning this thing out, trying to save some weight, and I found some things you might want to see, or maybe you don't want to see. Either way, it's bound to be disgusting. Right here by the battery box, I found something. Ooh, there's an old hat. Let's see what else is in here. A yummy old sock. It's kind of crusty. I wonder what he was doing with this stuff. What is that? Ugh. That's some like 50-year-old, 60-year-old toilet paper. You want to use that to wipe? Let's see if I can get a closer look here. Toilet paper. Hey, that's a matching sock. I think I might be able to wear these still with a little washing. Ooh. That's another sock. Yeah, that's a sock. I think this still has any. Oh look, made in USA. Doesn't have much spring to it, a little bit. Might have to save that. Tingley Rubber Corporation. A little bit of a chain. Another rubber bungee. I think that's about it. Let's see what this is. Poison danger causes severe burns, heavy duty. Oh, it's got the date, but somewhere between May of 73 and 78, they didn't actually punch the date. I guess maybe it was the sticker off of the most recent battery in this thing. The battery wasn't here though, it was gone when I bought it. Does anybody need some vintage socks? Going once, going twice. Before I build my lifting contraption, what I want to do is disconnect the cab from the frame. If you look under here though, it's hard to tell what's cab and what's frame. There's just a mangled mess of stuff, but I'm going to try to disconnect the steering and the brake lines, and there's a lot of stuff right in this area that goes through the cab. A few videos I've watched on people trying to do this, the main thing they've talked about is how many things there actually are, and they forget a lot of them when they try to lift this up, and that's where they make their mistake. So that's what I'm going to do now. And I can't see any bushings or anything. It looks like the cab is just bolted directly to the frame with no bushings in between. And if you look inside, you can see where the cab is busted, and that's probably wise because they didn't use bushings. Thought I'd be able to pull that out. This is all busted, but this is some sort of right angle steering contraption. I imagine though, I have another one actually that is working, in working condition, but I imagine I'll have more of a modern steering column, hopefully. These things look kind of janky to me. Now I don't know how this works, but it's got this spiral on it. It looks like if I continue to turn it, it might spiral its way or screw its way out of there. Just gotta figure out which way to go. That feels wrong. Oh yeah! Check that out. Now since it's a forward control, the transmission and transfer case are like 4 feet back that way, so all of these are operated by some sort of cable or like a rod of some sort. Seems to actually still work. Be able to shift gears. Be a little rough though. Here's the transfer case. That still works. Awesome. One of the problems I'm having though is when I'm leaning in here, I'm getting this fiberglass. I don't know if you can see that, but there's just fiberglass from these fenders all over my pants and shirt. And when you get that on your, especially your forearms, man, that itches bad. So I'm gonna take these off so I don't have to deal with that again. Oh! Alright. Well, 2 of those bolts broke off, but luckily all the rest came out just fine. There's one side. Aha! Alright, check that out. Now my arms don't have to be itchy anymore. Kind of made me nervous working next to this tire. Holy cow, look at that. That's a Goodyear. Now I don't know how the rest of this build is going to go, but I think those might be salvageable if anybody knows how to do work on fiberglass, which I don't. But if you do and would like to help out, let me know how much you charge to fix that. I could probably ship them to you. All it needs is the rest of that. This is the opposite side here, so you'd have to kind of match that line all the way to the end. And then this one is missing a little bit on the corner right there. Looks like it just kind of curls around and then probably terminates. What do you guys think? Anybody know how to do that stuff? Here's what it looks like without it, but I think those fender flares give it a nice, neat finished look. And I really doubt you can find those new or aftermarket, but if you know of any, let me know. I'm always looking for help with this thing. Well, this is interesting. That helps a little, but not much. Maybe that'll do the trick. Oh yeah. Well, I thought that would do the trick. What the heck? I didn't realize until just now that had a prop rod on it. It's like your little hood right there. And then there's this thing. This looks to be like the interior, an interior piece, but I can't figure out where it goes. Does anybody know where this thing goes? It just doesn't seem to fit anywhere that I've put it so far. I really have no idea. I'm sure I'll find it eventually, but maybe somebody can point me in the right direction. I got that shifter out. I had to come through here and reach in there. The motor's locked up so the fan wouldn't spin, so it was kind of hard to get that, but I got it out. What do you think about this? Should I try to put AC in this thing? Do you think I can find a vintage heat and AC box? Like one of those retrofits, maybe? Or should I just leave it heat only? This thing's pretty cool, but obviously it's got no AC. But I don't even know if the heat element in there is replaceable, like the heater core, because I'm sure it's probably no good. So I got really lucky with that FC being from Utah. It had no rust. If you guys have been following along, you know that I bought this LJ frame to go underneath the FC with all the running gear attached to it. But I'm not ready to pull it in the shop yet, and it's just sitting out here in the woods. So what I've got is some WD-40 Specialist penetrant with this flexible straw, and I'm going to use this to hit all of the nuts and bolts. And this is a good tip for you guys if you're about to work on a project, or just periodically, you might want to do this to your own Jeep, and this will keep the bolts and stuff from rusting up. You can already see that, like for instance, check out the drive shaft right there. I mean, look how nasty that is. Another thing that I should probably hit while I'm here, these guys. Your muffler, anything that gets hot is really going to mess up those bolts fast. So you might want to get those, but I'm just going to go around and spray everything, because you know eventually I'm going to take all this stuff off, because I'm going to put a lift kit on it, and we're just going to have to take all these bolts off. So I'm just going to go spray all this stuff. Look at that. Look how rusty that is. This will just help break all that stuff free and keep it from rusting until it's time. Another thing that I should mention is this didn't come with a harness. So I'm not sure what year it is. Oh, I just got a text. It's a 2006. If you have a wiring harness for an LJ, I'm looking for the engine wiring harness and the whole chassis wiring harness. And I'm also looking for a computer. It didn't come with those things, so I'm gonna have to get that sorted out. Definitely want to hit your steering bolts here. And the flexible straw comes in handy when you got a bolt down in there that you can't really get to. You just bend that straw in the right direction and get where you need to. That's the rear track bar bracket bolt right there. I got a chicken that wants to be around me, but yet she doesn't want to be around me. She just wants food, but she doesn't want to get that close. I'm just going to spray everything. Even though these aren't bolts, I like to spray the U-joints. If that ever needs to come apart, that's just going to make it that much easier. Engine mount bolts and your upper and lower control arm links, those are the worst. Steering stuff, oh my gosh, that gets bad too. I keep finding more and more things to spray, and look what I found shoved into there. Anyway, in the comments section below, tell me what's the worst nut or bolt that you can imagine getting stuck, and the one that always does get stuck. The best comment, I'll send one of these WD-40 penetrants to. Not a drop. Alright, I think the cab is ready to come off. Judging by what I found in there, it looks to me like when the original owner or whoever had this thing and the motor blew, it looks like they started to work on the motor, then they realized they needed to replace the motor, and then they realized to do that they needed to pull the cab off. So it looks like they tried to unbolt the bolts and start doing some work to take the cab off, and then they were like, the hell with this, and just let it sit after that. So I think it's been like that for a long time. But I've got everything loose. Now I need to move this into place. First of all, I got some little dollies, and then we'll start to build my contraption to see if we can lift this sucker off. Yay. Ah.
to the ocean and kiss me on the shores. You told me then that we've reached the end, beneath that setting sun. I hate you so much, I stole your bicycle. It's all said and done, now honey, you won. Gonna leave for a while, walk out the door, forget my troubles and move to Memphis, maybe change my name. Ever since you left me, crying at your door, I'll never be the same. I'll never be the same.
Alright, here's my contraption. It's pretty sketchy, don't try this at home. But I think it's gonna work. Let's hope it works. So let's show you what I got going on here. I got 4 beams. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is supporting these other 4x4s above those beams. Basically the same thing on the other side there. So it's going over the rafters, but it's kind of all one unit, as you can see there. Now, inside the cab, I've built another 4x4 and 2x4 structure. I've got eye hooks on that, and I've got 2x4s going across to hold those from sliding together. But it also adds more support for lifting this cab. I've seen a couple pictures of guys trying to lift these with slings, and they will crush where they're lifting. So hopefully that doesn't crush anything. And then I've got eye hooks sticking out of that. The eye hooks are also on the top part, and then I've got straps. Are the straps rated for enough weight? We shall find out. I also notched these. I don't know if you can see that, but I notched that so that it would sit flush on the drip rail, or whatever you want to call that. So I think instead of lifting, what I'm going to do is just put tension on that. Oh, I can't close the door. That's the only downside to doing it this way. And I see now why somebody gave up and said, screw this. Taking this cab off, it's not just about unbolting all the bolts, but figuring out how to lift it. Oh, and that's another thing. If you guys have been following along, some of you may be wondering what happened to my shop expansion. Well, when I went to go get a permit a while back, they said I can't build within 30 feet of my own property line. So that means there's street, and then there's like 12 foot of frontage, and then there's my property line, and then they don't want me to build within 30 feet of my own property line. So that seems crazy. I mean, I live out here in the middle of nowhere. There's houses that are, I don't know, 15, 20 feet off the road, but apparently they changed the rules at some point. So what I'm waiting on is I have to go to court and try to get an exemption, and that happens in like 15 days from now. I don't know when this video will come out, but I think right now the way I have it drawn up, it's about 16 feet from my property line, and then another like 12 feet to the road. So it's still a good almost 30 feet from the road, but it's just one of those things. And with this COVID stuff, they weren't doing the hearings or court proceedings or whatever it is that I don't... If anybody knows how this is going to go, let me know, because I don't know. They sent letters to my neighbors and stuff. I imagine that my neighbors won't care, but you never know how that's going to go. But I assume that if neighbors aren't there complaining, that they won't give me an issue and they'll let me do it. But I don't know. Do I need to plead my case? Like, do I need to have all kinds of documentation? Do I need to have people there for me on my side rooting for me? I don't know how this is going to go, so wish me luck on that. Hopefully that goes through and I can continue my build on that. Now this would be so much easier if I had a lift and a higher roof, and maybe before it gets finished I will, but I still got to get trucking and get this thing off now. So that's why the jankiness. Why does this always have to happen? Always. This tire scares me. Thumbnail time. It's pulling. Help. Check this out, guys. I heard about this, but I never experienced it until now. Back in the day, they used to think that on the left side, since the tire was rotating a certain way, that your lug nuts needed to be reverse thread. So I was trying to get this off and it wasn't coming off, so I went to tighten it and it came off. So reverse thread lug nuts. How weird is that? It's one of those things that engineers thought was a good idea at the time, but it was totally unnecessary. Makes sense, but just not needed. Why it's not needed? I don't know. I'm not an engineer. Alright, the straps are tight. I've got jacks underneath both sides. Jack stands just in case. And I'm going to start dropping the axle down just to see what happens. We're looking for separation right here, because this is the body, this is the frame. The shock and shock mount's going to stay with the subframe. I can't see. How's it looking? A little bit. There's a bolt over here. Let's see if this bolt is loose. Oh yeah. See, that's where the body mounts to the frame. There's no bushing or nothing. It's just hard mounted. Alright, let's try this other side. Starting to move. We do get it down to the ground. We want it on these rollers. No. Look at this. The thing's just kind of floating there. This is an exciting moment. But if I missed anything, wires or connections or body mounts, then it's not gonna work. Let's see what happens. We'll start dropping her down more and more. I'm gonna stand further back. Oh, there we go. Now it's coming. Let's see what's going on this side. It's like you have to do it. The radiator and everything is just wedged right in there. So if you don't do it one side at a time like this, then it just gets caught and wedged. Whoa. This jack isn't even holding anything, but it's like it doesn't want to come down unless I pull this side down. Oh! Alright, I'm going to look inside and see if there's anything that I missed at this point. It's just kind of scraping along the motor right there, but other than that, I don't see anything holding it up. So I'm going to continue. The moment of truth. Can we get it all the way down? And is it going to be enough to be able to roll it out the back? It's all the weight is on this one side for some reason. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! We have run into a problem. This video is brought to you by WD-40. This video is brought to you by WD-40. WD-40 brought you this video. This video brought to you by WD-40. This video is brought to you by WD-40. This video is brought to you by WD-40.